So here's a game I didn't think I'd ever be talking about. Ghost Recon Wildlands, at the time, for me anyway, was the pinnacle of mediocrity. The game was yet another example of Ubisoft homogenizing its unique IPs into the same fucking game. Call me crazy, but I didn't want to play Far Cry. What I wanted was a Ghost Recon game. Imagine my surprise then, when years later I found out that there was a small subset of the community that tries their best to actually capture the Ghost Recon experience. And it's actually not at all difficult to do so. Enter Ghost Recon Wildlands, but with almost no UI. For all the shit they get wrong, Ubisoft actually included a fuckload of UI options in this game. Now, if you're playing on extreme difficulty with a very minimal UI setup, the game actually begins to feel like Ghost Recon. You see, when you tack on all the bullshit from the default UI, you don't have to be aware of enemy positions. You can see where all the resources and weapon crates are, and exactly where you need to go to complete objectives. There's so many fucking icons on my screen that I want to hurl. But once you turn the UI off, or almost all of it off, Wildlands basically requires you to take your time. Scouting out compounds becomes an absolutely vital part of gameplay, and you have to continuously do it, or you will probably be caught out. When you don't have markers showing you exactly where the enemies are, you have to use your brain, and I don't know about you, but that to me is a distinct improvement. Sure, you can still try and run and gun, but the likelihood you'll be put the fuck down or murked by a thug you didn't notice is so high that you're encouraged to take things slow. Is it perfect? No. The gunplay is fine, but nothing to write home about. The car and flight physics are whack, but I kinda low-key enjoy them. And worst of all, the AI ranges from downright stupid to just passable. My biggest gripe being that they have terrible perception most of the time. They still feel like threats on extreme simply because of how quickly they can put you in the ground, but I swear to God, how have none of these guys seen me? Despite its shortcomings, the feeling of pulling off a well-executed plan and it going off without a hitch is extremely rewarding. And actually fairly challenging without all these fucking markers pointing out where everything is. Sound design is pretty good, and the world is extremely detailed. The amount of options that you have to tackle problems is absolutely insane. And you still have all of these crazy bombastic moments that emerge completely naturally from gameplay. I think Wildlands was fundamentally kneecapped by its UI. It's crazy how such a small change can radically impact the way you approach a game, and by extension, my opinion of it. I've really enjoyed my time revisiting this game, and I attribute almost all of that to playing it with as minimal UI as I can. By tweaking these settings, it actually begins to feel like a proper stealth action game, and while it still isn't the same as an old school Ghosts game, what's here is genuinely a lot of fun. I think the formula of an open-ended Ghost Recon game is a really solid idea. I just wish Ubisoft would have the balls to respect its audience. AAA publishers are so afraid to respect their players' intelligence that it's genuinely harming their games. It's just soul-crushing to see the enormous potential that's been laid out here that goes completely to waste because they're afraid they'll alienate people. When you make a game for everybody, you risk making a game for no one. Wildlands could have been something really special, but instead it wants to be everything but itself. Anyway, not that I would encourage you to buy a Ubisoft product, but if you already own Ghost Recon and thought it was kinda shit when you played it, maybe give it another whirl with the UI elements disabled. I've genuinely come to appreciate the game a hell of a lot more with these simple changes, and maybe you would too.